Chapter 86. Not Giving a Chance. The existence of spirit weapons could be traced back to ancient times. In the beginning, all spirit weapons were born naturally. Just like the heaven-trampling elephant, they were rare treasures beasts. Every spirit weapon has its own consciousness and possesses varying abilities. For example, burning mountains and rivers, freezing heaven and earth, instant teleportation, life grafting, death devour, eternal light barrier. Any of these spirit weapons could make one extremely powerful. Of course, one would also encounter seizing by countless people. However, spirit weapons were harder to tame than mutated beasts. To control a spirit weapon, it was best to possess a trait that matched its ability. Once that was settled, the spirit weapon would automatically recognize the individual as its owner. Those known as ancient spirit weapons were extremely scarce, and very few people had obtained them since ancient times. Right now, the spirit weapons that martial artists wielded were all the blood spirit weapons forged by the subsequent weapon masters after decades of hard work. They were named blood spirit weapons because the moment a spirit weapon was born, it needed to be watered with a martial artist's blood and essence to awaken its intelligence. That way, the spirit weapon obtained would automatically recognize the martial artist as its master. When this martial artist passes on, it would move on to pick another. Because ancient spirit weapons were rare, few people knew which was stronger, ancient spirit weapons or blood spirit weapons. The little wooden sword had absorbed the 3 yin candles' blood. Su Jingxing did not know if it was a good or bad thing. It had not had any changes in the past few decades, perhaps it had been severely injured. If a spirit weapon was severely damaged, it would also be impaired or may even break. The little wooden sword had most likely absorbed the 3 yin candles' blood to recover. Su Jingxing took out the little wooden sword and concentrated his mental power to carefully sense the changes in its aura. He could feel that the little wooden sword's aura was becoming stronger. It is recovering. Recovery is a good thing, but who will the little wooden sword that has absorbed the 3 yin candles' blood listen to in the end? A spirit weapon will recognize its owner automatically. If the little wooden sword is a blood spirit weapon, then would it, after absorbing the 3 yin candles' blood, ultimately acknowledge someone from the Shi family as its master? At this thought, Su Jingxing couldn't help but feel conflicted. Working so hard to give it all up to the Shi family. Impossible. Su Jingxing would never let such a thing happen. He would rather hide the little wooden sword forever. Of course, there is another possibility. That is that the little wooden sword absorbed the 3 yin candles' blood just to recover. The 3 yin candles' blood is merely its energy source. Su Jingxing pondered. If so, the Shi family would be the little wooden sword's ration. Of course, absorbing other special bloodlines should also help the little wooden sword to recover. If that was the case, Su Jingxing would have a chance to take the little wooden sword for his own use. At this thought, Su Jingxing squeezed out a drop of blood and essence and dripped it on the little wooden sword. No reaction. The blood and essence landed on the little wooden sword, but it did not show any response at all. Not giving me a chance. Su Jingxing chuckled. All right, I'll subdue you after I figure out everything about you. As for automatically recognizing him as its master, Su Jingxing didn't hold much hope. It was difficult to subdue spirit weapons, but there were also many examples of forcibly subduing them. While the little wooden sword had not fully recovered, the chances of subduing it were the highest. With this in mind, Su Jingxing prepared to make another trip to the valley at the Green Cloud Mountain Range, where the big white goose was. I still need Brother Goose's help to figure out the little wooden sword's background. As for today, he had to go to work. The Shi family. Early in the morning, in the Shi family's compound, located in an estate near the mountains in the Western District. The Shi family had a 100-year-old legacy. The entire estate was filled with Shi family members. The central courtyard was the residence of the Shi family's patriarch. At this moment, under the morning sun, 9 corpses were placed on the empty field in the courtyard. Shi Yangfeng, Elder Zhu, and the 7 Shi family guards lined up in a neat row. Shi Yangfeng's and Elder Zhu's heads had been stitched back to their necks. The broken limbs of the 7 guards had also been reassembled into one. There were more than 100 members of the Shi family standing around the field. All of them, who had high statuses, were burning with rage and killing intent. What audacity! He actually dared to kill people from the Shi family. We must find him, flay his tendons, skin him alive, grind his bones and scatter his ashes. That's for sure. Anyone who kills a member of my Shi family must die. HMPH, anyone can use harsh words. The problem lies with who the murderer is. There's no clue at all. If you want revenge, who are you going to get it from? Isn't there Du Liangjing? That fellow escaped out of the city overnight. Once we capture him, we'll know who did it. The people from White River Dojo must die too. If not for them, why would Little Feng wouldn't have gone there and he wouldn't have been killed? Do you think the Martial Suppression Office is just a decoration? It's not a problem to destroy White River Dojo, but to kill all of White River Dojo. What are you thinking? B starred. What did you say? Are you still a member of the Shi family? I don't need your approval whether I'm a member of the Shi family or not. You're not the patriarch, much less my father. Say that again. Quote. A mix of curses, angry shouts, and discussions made the field seem especially lively. The people standing right at the front, beside the corpses, ignored the noisy Shi family members. How is it, old Tang? The current patriarch of the Shi family, Shi Jinian, stared at Shi Yangfeng and Elder Zhu's corpses and asked an old man who was examining them. It's clear now. The old man remained in a squatting position as he replied, Elder Zhu had resisted fiercely when he was alive, and he had greatly expended his true energy. The final fatal blow was his head being chopped off. The speed of that blow was extremely fast, so fast that Elder Zhu couldn't dodge in time. The moment his protective true energy shattered, his head was chopped off. It is about the same for young Master Shi. His limbs, bones, and internal organs all show signs of being violently shaken. The fatal blow was also the beheading. It's relatively simpler with the 7 others. They didn't put up much resistance and were instantly torn apart by a powerful force. That force could have been a cannonball or an explosive arrow. As for which it is, it has to be verified at the crime scene. The crime scene has been destroyed. It is enough that we know the causes of death. Shi Jinian said as he waved a young man behind him to come forward. Thank you for your appraisal, Elder Tang. We have prepared the remuneration. Please follow little Lu to collect it. I'm ashamed that I can only come up with so much. The old man stood up and said apologetically. No, this is already enough. Shi Jinian replied softly, indicating for the young man to bring the aged man away. The old man bowed slightly and left with the young man. After the old man walked far away and disappeared around the corner, Shi Jinian's expression darkened. He shouted in a low voice, the murderer used a swift saber and powerful explosive hidden weapons. His cultivation level is around the 6th grade. Oh right, he might be born with innate divine strength. Get someone to run a check using these key points. Find all the martial artists that meet the requirements. Yes. Behind Shi Jinian, a middle-aged man replied in a deep voice before turning around and quickly leaving. Old 7, how much of Little Feng's origin blood was taken back? None. A middle-aged man with red eyes and clenched fists responded through gritted teeth. None. Shi Jinian frowned. Not even a drop. Yes, not even a drop. The middle-aged man growled. Little Feng's origin blood has been entirely drawn away by someone. The same situation as with Yang Kai. When a burly man at the side heard this, he said in a muffled voice, the cause of death was an attack of origin blood, but there was no origin blood in the corpse. Now the same thing has happened with Little Feng. Could it be that someone is targeting the Shi family? It's not targeting, but watching. Shi Jinian said in a low voice, someone is already on the Shi family, their goal is to draw the origin blood. This. What did they want the origin blood for? An old man's eyes flashed with anger. Once the origin blood leaves our bodies, it loses its vitality. What are they drawing it for? It's good that we now know the reason, Shi Jinian commented. The problem is, we don't know why they want the origin blood. If that's really the case, then aren't we all targets? Especially the younger generation, it would be very dangerous when they head out. The elder said angrily. Therefore, subsequently, for a period of time, get the younger generation to stay at home. No one goes out. Shi Jinian ordered, the other party only dares to act in secret. As long as we don't go out, he won't be able to do anything to us. Even if he had the biggest guts, he wouldn't dare to barge into the estate. Of course, it would be even better if he did. DMMIT. The burly man cursed loudly. When we catch this smelly rat in the dark, we must give him utter misery. The others were similar, their expressions full of resentment. The middle-aged man, whose eyes were red, didn't even notice that his fingernails had dug into his flesh. This was because he was Shi Yangfeng's father. Since he was young, Shi Yangfeng had always been outstanding. Countless people liked him and he was well versed with both the pen and the sword. He was only 18 years old and already a 7th grade martial artist. Since last year, he had been set to be the future patriarch. But overnight, this genius that so many people were proud of had died. His head was chopped off. The heart-wrenching pain of losing his son left only one thought in the middle-aged man's mind: kill, kill, kill. The murderer who drew the origin blood, the people from the White River Dojo, and the group of women Shi Yangfeng had slept with. Kill them all. Only by killing all of them to accompany Shi Yangfeng would it scarcely ease the pain in his heart. The crematorium in the Western District. Su Jingxing partnered with Kong Dabao and moved corpses as per usual. Most of the journeys were from the morgue to the incineration room and occasionally to the farewell ceremony hall. Corpse discovered. Would you like to extract it? Yes. Corpse discovered. Would you like to extract it? Yes. The cards he extracted along the way were stored in his palm space. When he was free, Su Jingxing then used the excuse of going to the toilet to take out the cards and read the descriptions. Internal Force card, Strength Enhancement card, Strength Enhancement card, Essence Energy card, Essence Energy card. The cards collected from the corpses of ordinary people were mainly Strength Enhancement cards and Essence Energy cards. Su Jingxing was already used to it. These two cards were still effective when accumulated. Intel. A martial arts practice card. Holding a new card in his hand, Su Jingxing read the description and felt perked up. He gripped the card and checked again and again that it was really a martial arts practice card. And it was one with 20 years of practice time. How can that be? The corpses that I extracted from today were all human. Moreover, they were basically ordinary people. How can there be a martial arts practice card? Su Jingxing's heart raced. Holding back his excitement, he checked the last few cards and received the Strength Enhancement card and Essence Energy card. Su Jingxing committed the sequence to memory and rushed out of the washroom. He gave an excuse and went to get the registration form. He found the body that the martial arts practice card was extracted from, a boy named Wang Yunning. He flipped through his information. Wang Yunning, 16 years old this year. He had been excellent in both character and learning since a young age, an example of a good child to parents, and a good student to teachers, and a genius in the eyes of classmates. He was skilled in both the pen and the sword. In short, anyone who knew Wang Yunning would give him a thumbs up. However, such an enviable genius had suddenly committed suicide by jumping off a building. It was not because of a relationship, nor was it because he was being bullied. But he simply just jumped off a building and killed himself. The public security team investigated 3 times, but they didn't find any clues. Instead, they found a sentence in a notebook from Wang Yunning's belongings. I'm so tired of living. I feel like a puppet. From this sentence, the public security team analyzed that Wang Yunning had long had thoughts of ending his life. Then, through the word, puppet, they investigated his daily life. In the end, it was found out that Wang Yunning had a mother who was terrifyingly controlling. Wang Yunning had been under the control of his frightening mother since he had a conscious mind. Eating, walking, sleeping, studying, practicing martial arts, making friends. No, Wang Yunning had no friends. His scary mother believed that there was no need for Wang Yunning to make friends. As long as he was good in his studies and outstanding in martial arts, he would naturally have everything. Year after year, from kindergarten to high school, Wang Yunning did not have a single day of freedom. Finally, he jumped off a building. This was the cause of death that they had found out, the truth behind the suicide attempt, a life that had been controlled. Controlled. After reading all the information, Su Jingxing repeatedly muttered this word and a light bulb slowly lit up in his brain. He understood now. He had figured out the extraction rule of the martial arts practice card. Being controlled. The corpse puppets were manipulated by the corpse-raising insect, that was why he extracted the martial arts practice card. The barbarians who wiped out the Dagger Gang and branches of the Black Tiger Gang were controlled by Duan Fei Hong's faction behind the scenes. Therefore, he also extracted martial arts practice cards from them. As the barbarians left in the warehouse had yet to be activated and manipulated to carry out missions, few martial arts practice cards were extracted from them. The majority were the Mighty Strength card and Body Strengthening card. The Mighty Strength card and Body Strengthening card corresponded perfectly with the Herculean strength and powerful physical bodies of barbarians. Right now, Wang Yunning had been also under the grasp of his terrifyingly controlling mother. Therefore, the martial arts practice card was also extracted. Practice, control. As they were being controlled, freedom was very precious. Targeting this point, the cheat ability developed it into the function of practice. The case was solved. Su Jingxing, who strung everything together, finally thought things through, sighed with emotion. Although he had solved the case, getting the martial arts practice card still depended on luck. When these people do not say anything, no one outside would know about their controlled lives. Wang Yunning's situation was a special case. Very few people had the same experience. Therefore, this martial arts practice card with 20 years of practice time could be considered an unexpected gain. Su Jingxing did not know when he would encounter such a situation again. After regaining his composure, he kept the card and continued to move corpses. My 9 steps trampling heaven has been stuck at the introductory level. With this martial arts practice card, I can probably cultivate to the 4th or 5th level in one go. The higher the level of one's internal exercise, the faster one can absorb the worldly energy and convert it into true energy. Given the density of worldly energy in the valley where the big white goose resides, it shouldn't be a problem for me to raise my true energy by 10 to 20 years, right? Night. Su Jingxing returned home from work. After dinner, he took out the deduction card. At present, Su Jingxing had 3 martial arts that were worth deducing and perfecting. The 7 Steps Fist, Colossal Divine Dagger, and 3 Origins Saber Art. Amongst them, the 7 Steps Fist was the most flawed and dangerous. The Colossal Divine Dagger, with saber control with energy and saber control with the mind, was the most difficult and had the lowest success rate. Comparatively, the chances of successfully completing the Earth Origin volume of the 3 Origins Saber Art was higher because he already had half of the mental cultivation method. But after some thought, Su Jingxing decided to deduce the 7 Steps Fist. For no other reason, but because he had been using this fist technique with restrained strength right now. If he were to unleash it with all his strength, the damage done to his body would be too great. Having made up his mind, Su Jingxing unlocked the deduction card. A burst of light suddenly bloomed and enveloped his body. Su Jingxing felt his body warm up and his consciousness came to a blank world. Seemingly sensing something, he executed the 7 Steps Fist. All of a sudden, figures appeared above his head, beneath his feet, in front of him and to his left and right. The figure was moving and punching. The 7 Steps Fist's moves and mental cultivation techniques were fully unleashed, extending from all directions. Miraculously, even though Su Jingxing had unleashed his full strength, nothing went wrong with his body. In this blank world, the flaws of 7 Steps Fist seemed to have disappeared. Then, with all the Su Jingxing's punching around, the flow of time in the entire world was suddenly accelerated. Close to 10,000 changes to the various possible extensions of the 7 Steps Fist appeared in an instant. The more changes there were, the faster the images were refreshed. When the images stopped moving, Su Jingxing received the first deduction result. Failure. Not discouraged, Su Jingxing continued his second deduction. The surrounding images were swiftly refreshed. When they stopped. Success. Su Jingxing, who suddenly gained a ball of information in his brain, subconsciously moved his hands and feet and executed a brand new fist technique. 100 Steps Raining Fist. This was the name of the new fist technique, derived from the 7 Steps Fist. Su Jingxing, who was reading the description, comprehended it carefully and realized that the 100 Steps Raining Fist was without the flaws of the 7 Steps Fist and also even more powerful. The 7 Steps Fist could at most unleash a punch with 7 times of his strength, but 100 Steps Raining Fist was 100 times. However, the 7 Steps Fist consumed physical strength while the 100 Steps King Fist consumed true energy. As long as one's true energy was sufficient, the strength of one's punch would be multiplied. 10 times, 20 times, 30 times. Till a maximum of 100. The distance of the punch when it was released could similarly reach 100 steps away. 100 steps, not 100 meters. The external release distance of this fist technique was calculated based on Su Jingxing's steps. When an ordinary person took a step forward, it was indeed about a meter's distance. However, martial artists could do more, ranging between 2 to 5 meters covered per step. Such a wide step didn't mean that a martial artist's legs were especially long, but rather, it was the distance that could be covered with the strength exerted when a step was made. It was similar to the combination of standing long jump and crossing hurdles. It was a kind of extreme footwork after the explosion of full body strength. For example, Su Jingxing could take 3 meters with 1 step and 5 meters, if he uses his full strength. With this stride, when he executes the 100 Steps Raining Fist, his punch could reach as far as 500 meters. Advanced Martial Arts. Without a doubt, the 100 Steps Raining Fist was 2 levels higher than the 7 Steps Fist. He managed to deduce a martial art like the 100 Steps Raining Fist with his second deduction. He was indeed very lucky. After a short rest, Su Jingxing calmed himself down and started his third deduction. He would deduce the Earth Origin volume of the 3 Origins Saber Art to complete it based on what was already available. In the end, he failed. There was no disappointment or dejection to speak of. Su Jingxing, whose consciousness had returned to his body, was already mentally prepared. After 3 tries, he had gotten the 100 Steps Raining Fist. He had made a killing. This new fist technique was derived from the 7 Steps Fist. The moves were all the same, but the method of exerting force and the source of the punching force had been changed. Su Jingxing came to the courtyard and practiced a few times. He successfully mastered the new fist technique and reached the advanced level. Moving on, it would be the technique of using true energy. Su Jingxing was already very satisfied to be able to reach the advanced level so quickly. The later half of the night. Su Jingxing was familiarizing himself with the new fist technique in the courtyard. He practiced repeatedly, constantly experiencing the utilization of true energy. He only stopped when dawn arrived. Then, he went back to his room to take a shower, changed into his newly bought clothes, and set off for the Green Cloud mountain range. Familiar with the route, he climbed over the 1,000-meter cliff to reach the platform at the end of the steep slope where he broke through to the 6th grade. Su Jingxing did not enter the valley to disturb the big white goose. Instead, he sat cross-legged on the empty space on the platform and took out his martial arts practice card to practice the 9 steps trampling heaven. Unlocking the card, he entered the martial arts practice space and began circulating the mental cultivation technique of the 9 steps trampling heaven. When the martial arts practice space collapsed and his consciousness returned to his body, Su Jingxing stabilized his mind slightly. Then, he executed the 9 steps heaven trampling again and found that his mastery of this martial art had reached the 6th level. The 9 steps of heaven trampling contained 9 levels. After cultivating day and night for 20 years, he had reached the 6th level. Su Jingxing didn't know what to say about this speed. He thought about it for a moment, then tossed it to the back of his mind, refusing to think about it. The 6th level of the 9 steps trampling heaven could be considered decent. Su Jingxing took a deep breath and circulated the 9 steps heaven trampling with his full strength to absorb the worldly energy in the valley. Hu. As soon as he started, the air currents around him were driven by an invisible force and started to rapidly circle around him. Hu. Mountain winds swept through the area, howling through the universe. The airflow around Su Jingxing became faster and faster, and the rotation became increasingly stronger. The air currents quickly turned into vortexes that could be seen with the naked eye. They surrounded Su Jingxing's body and gradually became a whirlwind. Swish, swish, swish. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Above the valley, the whirlwind grew larger and larger. The strands of worldly energy that pervaded the valley were forcibly pulled away from their original position and rushed into the sky, gathering above Su Jingxing's head. Hu. Strong winds howled, and energy spiraled like a dragon absorbing water. The heaven trampling true energy in Su Jingxing's dantian rapidly grew. Under the circulation of the 9 steps heaven trampling, wisps of worldly energy transformed into heaven trampling true energy and was stored within his dantian. 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. The amount of true energy that was being generated continued to increase. From morning to afternoon, from afternoon to night. The amount of worldly energy in the valley gradually decreased, while the heaven trampling true energy in Su Jingxing's dantian gradually grew. The large white goose came honking and flew down from the sky, landing on the platform. It jumped up and down to get Su Jingxing to stop the absorption. By then, worldly energy in the valley had already become extremely thin. Su Jingxing, who had stopped circulating the exercise, could not be bothered to greet the big white goose. He checked the true energy in his dantian. He could not help but be overjoyed, his face full of smiles. More than 50 years. Circulating the 9 steps heaven trampling with all his might, coupled with tyrannical absorption, his true energy cultivation was increased by more than 50 years. Together with the initial 9 years, he was only a little short of 60 years. At this point, Su Jingxing immediately unlocked the internal force card and converted the internal force into heaven trampling true energy. In the end, he successfully achieved 60 years of true energy cultivation. How much power can the 100 steps raining fist unleash with 60 years of true energy cultivation? Su Jingxing decided to give it a try. Brother Goose, I'll catch up with you later. With that, Su Jingxing stood up and executed the 8 steps rising dragon. Driven by his true energy, he leapt into the air. Thump. He released his true energy externally and executed the 100 steps raining fist. A fist imprint was formed with lightning speed and pushed forward. With a muffled thud, the fist imprint broke through the air and flew 40 to 50 meters straight ahead, exploding in midair. Energy surged, a whirlwind raged, stirring up large amounts of air currents. Bang, bang, bang. Without pausing, he continued punching. Boom, boom, boom. A deafening explosion echoed in the valley. In the valley, all kinds of animals and poisonous creatures were terrified and fled into hiding. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Boom, boom, boom. His body was like a swimming dragon, and his punches were like violent winds. Wherever Su Jingxing went, the air was in chaos, and large waves of energy danced wildly. There wasn't much worldly energy to begin with. With a series of explosions, it drifted further away. First, it was 3 years of true energy cultivation, then 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. The offensive power of each stage was tested. When he stopped, the airflow and energy in the air above the valley was chaotic, surging endlessly chaotic like boiling oil. Swoosh. Su Jingxing descended from the sky and returned to the platform at the end of the steep slope. He carefully savored the feeling of this punching practice. Firstly, there was no doubt about the might of the 100 steps raining fist. A casual punch was comparable to an ordinary bomb. Secondly, the consumption of true energy, to Su Jingxing's surprise, was extremely large. Only after activating 10 years of true energy cultivation could he unleash twice the power. With 30 years, its power would increase by 5 times. When he unleashed his full power, with 60 years of true energy cultivation, the power increased by 7 times. Su Jingxing estimated that it would take about 150 years of true energy cultivation to increase the might by 10 times. If 20 times, at least 400 years. Only 400 years of true energy cultivation could increase it by 20 times. One could only imagine how many years of true energy cultivation was needed to boost the strength by 100 times. It seems that if I want to unleash the true power of the 100 steps raining fist, I have to reach the third grade. Su Jingxing murmured. A third-grade martial artist's true energy would have completely turned into true essence. In the 9 grades of martial arts, 9th grade, 8th grade and 7th grade were the lower ranks. The power that they circulate was internal force. 6th grade, 5th grade, and 4th grade were the middle ranks. The energy they channel was true energy. 3rd grade, 2nd grade, and 1st grade were top ranks. At this stage, the energy used was true essence. True essence was the liquefied form of true energy, a transformation from quantity to quality. To be very detailed, true energy is born in the 6th grade. When true energy turns into mist and does not dissipate after being released externally for a long time, that would be the 5th grade. When true energy produces liquid and begins to nourish the mind, that was 4th grade. From 6th grade to 4th grade, it was a step-by-step process. No shortcuts can be taken. Once taken, it would be very difficult to advance to 3rd grade. This was because from the 4th grade to the 3rd grade, it was not only a complete transformation of true energy into true essence, but also the birth of martial art true intent. And the condensation of martial art true intent required the support of a powerful mental strength. It was extremely difficult to improve one's mental strength. Even though there were many treasures that could aid in doing so, most of the time, it was nourished by true fluid. True fluid is the state when true energy has yet to completely transform into true essence. In other words, when moving from 4th grade into 3rd grade, the conversion of true energy into true essence and the condensation of martial art true intent had to be carried out simultaneously. Therefore, if one wishes to enter the 3rd grade, the more solid his foundation was built in the 6th grade, the better. The ethereal sword immortal specially emphasized this point 3 times. She said that there were many martial artists with outstanding talent who were eager for success. From 6th grade to 5th grade, 5th grade to 4th grade, they moved very quickly. With a large amount of resources and advanced true energy internal exercises, they went through these 2 stages within 3 years. After that, they became stuck at 4th grade for decades, and even at the time of their death, they had not advanced to 3rd grade. The main reason was because their foundation was not stable. It was like the construction of a building. If the foundation is average, and the ground floor is made of ordinary bricks, how can a tall building of 50 to 60 floors be constructed? The transformation from true energy to true essence was a qualitative change, requiring a long period of accumulation and careful polishing. Otherwise, given Su Jingxing's current 60 years of true energy cultivation, with the might of the 9 steps heaven trampling, he would be able to advance to the 4th grade after a few months in retreat. The question is, what is the use of such a 4th grade? Su Jingxing also wanted to go to the land of peril mentioned by the Wei family's ancestors and see what kind of treasure could allow a martial artist to move beyond 1st grade and advance to the transcendent grade. He did not want to be stuck in the 4th grade for decades, not even for more than 10 years. It is indeed good to make a breakthrough through repeated tempering of high-level true energy internal exercise. But wouldn't it be better if I could use the accumulated true essence from a vast amount of true energy to advance my cultivation? Su Jingxing narrowed his eyes, feeling tempted. Other people relied on consuming large quantities of pills to raise their true energy cultivation, hiding in places filled with worldly energy, and cultivating day and night. Su Jingxing was different. He had a cheat ability. There was a high chance of extracting the true energy card from the corpses of any martial artist in the middle ranks. For example, Su Jingxing had not used the true energy card with 8 years of cultivation that he had extracted from Elder Zhu. Once the card was unlocked, Su Jingxing's true energy cultivation would be 68 years. He kept it and didn't unlock it. It was to be used as a backup. For this reason, Su Jingxing had no lack of true energy. If he could use a vast amount of true energy to complete the conversion to essence, then entering the 3rd grade should be very easy. With these thoughts in mind, Su Jingxing decided to give it a try. At the same time, he restrained his aura. Tilda. The big white goose, who had been waiting for a long time, sensed that Su Jingxing had returned to his normal state. It flapped its wings and cried out. Su Jingxing listened for a moment and said in surprise, "Brother Goose, are you saying that there are 2 other places that are very suitable for me just like this valley? Can you bring me to those 2 places?" Tilda. The big white goose raised its neck and nodded. Quote. All right. With a surprised smile, Su Jingxing said apologetically, "It's my fault. I forgot there were other places where I could cultivate. Thankfully, you came in time. Brother Goose, I'm sorry. It was not easy to gather worldly energy. Once entirely absorbed, it would be very difficult for it to regenerate. The valley was the home of the big white goose. It naturally did not want it to become an ordinary valley. After Su Jingxing apologized, the big white goose quickly recovered. It flapped its wings and honked, wanting to bring Su Jingxing to the other two places that were filled with worldly energy. No rush. Su Jingxing smiled and said, "There's no hurry. I have something here that I need your help with." Ga ga tilde. The big white goose flapped its wings, signaling Su Jingxing to speak freely. Thank you in advance. Su Jingxing took out an essence energy pill and fed it to the goose. Then, he talked and gestured for the big white goose to glow. After the big white goose swallowed the pill, it stretched its body in satisfaction and released a silvery white glow. Swoosh. The silvery white glow brightened up the night. Su Jingxing took out the little wooden sword and exposed it to the light. A series of clear patterns appeared. The green light was still there. The little wooden sword, which had absorbed the 3 yin candles' blood, now had fine patterns on its body. One of the marks was very big, it was eye-catching and unique. Su Jingxing stared at it for a moment and suddenly recalled a general description of spirit swords that he had read online. The most prominent point was the core of the spirit sword, which was also where its intelligence was. The mental imprint. When a spirit sword recognizes someone as its owner, it is recognizing the spirit and soul of the martial artist. This shows on the sword as an imprint. There is a fixed position for this imprint. After the martial artist becomes its owner, he would be able to see it. With the help of the big white goose's silvery white glow, Su Jingxing now saw it too. The mental imprint on the little wooden sword was completely empty, only some traces were left behind. This meant that Su Jingxing could apply an imprint again. Spirit swords were difficult to subdue. Most importantly, he didn't know where the mental imprint was supposed to be. With the help of the big white goose, Su Jingxing was pleasantly surprised. He decisively condensed his mental power and drove his soul power to concentrate on the mark left behind. Buzz. 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 The little wooden sword's intelligence instinctively rejected this. The sword trembled, trying to stop what was happening. However, under the silvery white glow, Su Jingxing's eyes were fixed on the mark, and he forcibly applied his mental imprint on it. The moment he successfully left his imprint. Whoosh. A light before his eyes flashed and his field of vision lit up. A segment of a memory appeared in Su Jingxing's mind. It was about the birth of the little wooden sword, as well as the spectacular scene when it was activated. Thick black clouds covered the sky. They were vast and mighty, rolling in non-stop. Between heaven and earth, more than 10 thick bolts of lightning descended upon the mountain peak accompanied by thunder. On the peak of the mountain, a 4-foot-long star ironwood sword faced the strong wind and absorbed all the lightning and thunder. At a certain moment in time, it suddenly glowed and released thick sword-shaped lightning that destroyed mountains, tore apart the sky, and shattered the earth. Thunderbolt. This was the name that the little wooden sword's first master had given it. That's right, the little wooden sword. No, the Thunderbolt sword was a blood spirit weapon. Su Jingxing forcibly subdued it and obtained most of the information about it. For example, the Thunderbolt sword's main ability was to absorb lightning and release it. Where did the ancient lightning come from? It was naturally the lightning from the universe. There was no need to go through so much trouble now. It could be charged directly. Even though it was unknown the range of the blackout it would cause when charging it directly, at least there was a channel to do so, no. Furthermore, for the Thunderbolt sword to absorb and release lightning, it had to continue recovering. The way to recover was to continuously absorb special bloodlines. When it fully recovered, Su Jingxing would charge it. By then, with the help of the Thunderbolt sword, he could achieve the speed of lightning. Be swift as lightning in its truest sense. Brother Goose, thank you. Putting away the Thunderbolt sword, Su Jingxing stroked the big white goose's feathers and thanked it. Ga ga tilde. The big white goose flapped its wings and honked happily. We can go now. No need, I shan't go this time. Su Jingxing refused with a smile. The big white goose was very attentive. After helping Su Jingxing, it quickly reminded him that it could immediately lead him to the other two places with worldly energy. The problem was that it was almost dawn. Su Jingxing had yet to refine the heaven-trampling true energy stored in his current dantian. At this point, with a few more decades of true energy cultivation, it would only increase the difficulty of the subsequent refinement. Su Jingxing planned to wait for 3 to 5 days to refine the existing true energy several times before producing new heaven-trampling true energy. After a day and night, he could finally return to the city. Su Jingxing had also thought of how he would make his return journey. Flying through the air. 60 years of true energy cultivation was enough for him to fly all the way back to Qinghe City. Just do it. He took out a bunch of vital essence energy pills and fed them to the big white goose to thank Brother Goose for his help. Then, facing the twilight, Su Jingxing circulated his heaven-trampling true energy, executed the 8 steps rising dragon and soared into the sky. In midair, he released true energy to wrap around his body as he flew straight in the direction of Qinghe City. Hu. Strong winds howled by his ears, and his field of vision was unprecedentedly vast and magnificent. The feeling of flying with one's physical body was unimaginable when one was on a plane. The freedom, carefreeness and openness of soaring in the sky like a bird, one could not help but feel broad-minded and heroic. After flying hundreds of meters in the air, Su Jingxing couldn't help but let out a long roar. The roar echoed in the mountains under the morning sun, and as he moved, he left behind a fleeting dragon-shaped trail. The linear distance from the Big White Goose's Valley to the small courtyard at the foot of the mountain on the southern bank of the Sky Water River was about 40 kilometers. Su Jingxing flew straight and arrived in less than 10 minutes. This speed was close to 240 kilometers per hour. If he had not restricted his true energy and flew at full speed, his speed could exceed 600 kilometers per hour. When my mastery of the 8 steps rising dragon reaches the advanced level, flying at full speed will probably be no problem. With this in mind, Su Jingxing couldn't resist a smile. He returned to his room to shower and change his clothes. At the same time, Ouyang Qinhu's residence in the western district of Qinghe City. Bang, bang, bang. Urgent knocks on the door broke the silence of the morning. Ouyang Qinhu, who had just finished washing up and was about to cultivate for a while, frowned and strode towards the door. He said in a low voice, "I heard you, stop knocking." Bang, bang, bang. The knocking continued. Ouyang Qinhu's eyes turned cold. He quickened his pace and walked to the door. He opened the door and shouted, "I told you not to knock, did you not hear me?" Head, something big has happened. Before Ouyang Qinhu could finish his sentence, the person interrupted him hurriedly and shouted in fear, "Just now, a swordsman barged into the headquarters and injured all of us. He clamored to see you, and said that if he doesn't, he'll kill all of us and set a fire to burn down the headquarters. This guy is too arrogant. We wanted to stop him but no one was his match. Head, what should we do?" "What should we do?" Ouyang Qinhu said through gritted teeth. "He wants to see me, right? Fine, I will go see him now." Quote. Ouyang Qinhu didn't even have a chance to retreat after receiving such shocking news early in the morning. Even though Ouyang Qinhu didn't know who the other party was, due to the other party's open scheme, Ouyang Qinhu could not even take a step back. He was not an independent cultivator, but the head of the Black Tiger Gang, a great figure in the Western District. If I were to retreat now, how will I survive in Qinghe City in the future? With this in mind, Ouyang Qinhu gritted his teeth and went back into his house. Then, he came out quickly and called for the man who brought the news. They then got into his car and drove to the headquarters of the Black Tiger Gang. He accelerated to his fastest speed. In less than 5 minutes, they arrived at the headquarters. As soon as Ouyang Qinhu stepped out of the car, he saw a thin man with messy hair hanging loosely. The man in his 30s with long and sharp brows was carrying a long sword on his back. In the sunlight, he greeted Ouyang Qinhu. "I am Ni Rencho. Today, I challenge you to a duel to determine who is stronger and also who will live."